This episode is sponsored by screenwriter George Wensley. Hello and welcome once again to Film Pro Productivity, the podcast that helps film professionals and all creative people to live a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 45, The Law of Success in 16 Lessons, Part 6. This is the final episode of this special interconnected series within the series, focusing on Napoleon Hill's book, The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. And in whatever walk of life you're in, wanting to be successful is surely a universal theme that I felt very important to explore on the show. And this book, based on Napoleon Hill's own lecture tour, I felt was the key to its delivery. Now, if you've not heard the previous shows on this topic, then I'd strongly advise you to go back and listen to episodes 40 through 44 before listening to this one. Seriously, just go back now and get listening, and that way you are sure to get the best out of this series. The content of these shows has been my interpretation or direct quotation of Napoleon Hill's words from the book, with here and there a sprinkling of information gleaned from Hill's later life. The main change that I make in all of this is in neutralising the gender every now and again, simply because I want to make the lessons as accessible for today's audience as Hill intended it to be in 1928. And as proven by Lesson 15, Hill was all about tolerance, equality and inclusion, and he really wouldn't want his words of 1928 to be misinterpreted as something intolerant to the ear of a 21st century audience. Before I proceed to the golden rule, let me once again start with this. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Now, I've used this phrase to precede every lesson so far, but every chapter except lesson 4 actually begins with these words. You can do it if you believe you can. And I have deliberately changed it to Hill's later phrasing, whatever the mind can conceive and believe the mind can achieve, as I believe, and I'm a poet and I didn't know it, that he would have wished it to be so. So bearing that in mind, let me proceed to the 16th, the final lesson in Napoleon Hill's Laws of Success. That which you do not wish for yourself, do not impose on others. Umar, unquote. Lesson 16, the Golden Rule. This lesson is the guiding star that will enable you to profitably and constructively use the knowledge assembled in the preceding lessons. The philosophy of the Golden Rule is simply this: do unto others as you wish them to do unto you. Put another way, do unto others as you would wish them to do unto you if your positions were reversed. Hill wants us to understand one thing very clearly here, that there is more power wrapped up in the previous lessons of this course than most people could trust themselves with. Therefore, this lesson is what Hill refers to as the governor or limiter that will enable you to steer yourself safely down the pathway of all those who come suddenly into the possession of power. The rule is as old as time itself. It's how we regulate our behaviour in civilised society, and it's the rock on which we build a strength of character, as your character is but the sum total of your thoughts and deeds. Socrates said it this way: do not do to others what angers you if done to you by others. Hill asks a question of this which you might already have been thinking, and which those of us who just blindly accept such statements would not. And he asks it as he has honed the art of accurate thinking within himself. The question he asks is why? What is the real reason for this kindly consideration of others? His conclusion after years of study is this: that there is an eternal law which simply says we reap that which we sow, also expressed as you sow, so shall you reap. In more modern speak, we might say, what goes around comes around, or in simpler terms, once again, that you must eventually face the consequences of your actions. Hill states that not only is it advisable to do unto others as you wish them to do unto you, but to avail yourself fully of the benefits of this great universal law, you must also think of others as you wish them to think of you. As the law upon which the golden rule is based begins affecting you either for good or evil the moment you release a thought. As usual here, Hill gives many examples of this law in action, but he also warns us that a passive attitude towards it will bring no results. It is not enough, he says, merely to believe in the philosophy while at the same time failing to apply it in your relationships with others. If you want results, you must take an active attitude towards the golden rule. A mere passive attitude represented by belief in its soundness will simply do you no good. Richard Branson believes in this principle. He says, play fair, be prepared for others to play dirty, and don't let them drag you into the mud, which is a pretty awesome line in the modern tongue. What Hill is doing in this lesson, though, is ensuring that our character remains sound. Perhaps you have wondered, he says, why the subject of honesty has not been mentioned in this course as a prerequisite to success, and if so, the answer will be found here in this lesson. The Golden Rule philosophy, when rightly understood and applied, makes dishonesty impossible. It does more than this. It makes impossible all the other destructive qualities such as selfishness, greed, envy, bigotry, hatred, and malice. When you apply the Golden Rule, you become at one and the same time both the judge and the judged, the accused and the accuser. This places one in a position in which honesty begins in one's own heart towards oneself and extends to all others with equal effect. He presents in this lesson a code of ethics to allow us to more concretely embody the law on which the Golden Rule is based. In full, this reads as follows. 1. I believe in the Golden Rule as the basis of all human conduct. Therefore, I will never do to another person that which I would not be willing for that person to do to me if our positions were reversed. 2. I will be honest, even in the slightest detail in all my transactions with others, not alone because of my desire to be fair with them, but because of my desire to impress the idea of honesty on my own subconscious mind, thereby weaving this essential quality into my own character. 3. I will forgive those who are unjust toward me with no thought as to whether they deserve it or not, because I understand the law through which forgiveness of others strengthens my own character and wipes out the effects of my own transgressions in my subconscious mind. 4. I will be just, generous, and fair with others always, even though I know that these acts will go unnoticed and unrecorded in the ordinary terms of reward, because I understand and intend to apply the law through the aid of which one's own character is but the sum total of one's own acts and deeds. 5. Whatever time I may have to devote to the discovery and exposure of the weaknesses and faults of others, I will devote more profitably to the discovery and correction of my own. 6. I will slander no person, no matter how much I may believe another person may deserve it, because I wish to plant no destructive suggestions in my own subconscious mind. 7. I recognize the power of thought as being an inlet leading into my brain from the universal ocean of life. Therefore, I will set no destructive thoughts afloat upon that ocean, lest they pollute the minds of others. I love that. That's so well written. I'll say it again. I recognize the power of thought as being an inlet leading into my brain from the universal ocean of life. Therefore, I will set no destructive thoughts afloat upon that ocean, lest they pollute the minds of others. 8. I will conquer the common human tendency towards hatred and envy and selfishness and jealousy and malice and pessimism and doubt and fear, for I believe these to be the seed from which the world harvests most of its troubles. 9. When my mind is not occupied with thoughts that tend toward the attainment of my definite chief aim in life, I will voluntarily keep it filled with thoughts of courage and self-confidence and goodwill towards others and faith and kindness and loyalty and love for truth and justice, for I believe these to be the seed from which the world reaps its harvest of progressive growth. 10. I understand that a mere passive belief in the soundness of the Golden Rule philosophy is of no value whatsoever, either to myself or to others. Therefore, I will actively put into operation this universal rule for good in all my transactions with others. 11. I understand the law through which the operation of which my own character is developed from my own acts and thoughts. Therefore, I will guard with care all that goes into its development. I'll say that one more time. That was a bit of a long sentence. I understand the law through which the operation of which my own character is developed from my own acts and thoughts. Therefore, I will guard with care all that goes into its development. And 12. Realizing that enduring happiness comes through helping others find it, that no act of kindness is without its reward, even though it may never be directly repaid, I will do my best to assist others when and where the opportunity appears. As Hill nears the end of this lesson and the book itself, he raises the point that there are people who believe that the Golden Rule philosophy is nothing more than a theory, and it is in no way connected with an immutable law. They have arrived at this conclusion, he says, and this is something I touched upon a few weeks ago in my episode, Don't Do Me a Favour, but he says that they have arrived at this conclusion because of personal experience, wherein they rendered service to others without enjoying the benefits of direct reciprocation. Just going back a bit, in case you haven't heard the term, Mike Michalowicz of Entrepreneurship Made Simple explains that immutable laws are the rules of our lives. They define you, they define your business, they are a blend of ethics, core values and self-assigned law, all wrapped up into one. They are the rules we have defined for ourselves, almost subconsciously, on what is right and what is wrong. And just to go back on one other thing there, when I created the episode Don't Do Me a Favour and discussed the law of reciprocity, I didn't know at the time that Napoleon Hill had ventured into the same territory here. So I'm going to give it a little bit of his thoughts here on this as well. He says about it, how many are there who have rendered service to others that was neither reciprocated nor appreciated? I'm sure that I have had such an experience not once but many times, and I am equally sure that I will have similar experiences in the future. I, however, will not discontinue rendering service to others merely because they neither reciprocate nor appreciate my efforts. And this is yet another thing which is interesting to me, as I did at one point discontinue a service to someone. It wasn't really a service, I wasn't getting paid for it, but someone who I used to pass work to that I couldn't do myself. But I woke up one day as I had received a complaint about them following my recommendation, and I realised in that moment that my goodwill had never been reciprocated during that whole time. I think the real reason that I stopped recommending that person was because of the fact that a complaint had come back, and it meant that I couldn't recommend that person for danger of damaging my own reputation, if that makes sense. Napoleon Hill's reasoning is as follows. When I render service to another, or indulge in an act of kindness, I store away in my subconscious mind the effect of my efforts, which may be likened to the charging of an electric battery. And that I do understand. By and by, he continues, if I indulge in a sufficient number of such acts, I will have developed a positive dynamic character that will attract to me people who harmonise with or resemble my own character. Those whom I attract will reciprocate the acts of kindness and the service that I have rendered others. Thus, the law of compensation will have balanced the scales of justice for me, bringing back through one source the results of service which I rendered to an entirely different one. The law of compensation, incidentally, was proposed by Ralph Waldo Emerson in his essay Compensation. He wrote that each person is compensated in like manner for that which he or she has contributed. The law of compensation is another restatement of the law of sowing and reaping, and is effectively part of the Golden Rule. Nothing in the Golden Rule says that others will treat us as we have treated them. It only says that we must treat others in a way that we would want to be treated. Rosa Parks, unquote. Hill raises this point. He asks, if someone should fail to reciprocate your kindness, what then? Put in more modern speak, that might be, so what? If someone doesn't pay back your kindness, so what? Hill points out that we have profited nonetheless because of the effect of our act on our own subconscious mind. This is, of course, an extension of Hill's belief in the habit of autosuggestion, and it's exactly what I was talking about in my episode on favours. Don't do a favour in expectation of return of that favour. Give it freely, and in time your kindness will be repaid. If you need further proof that the Golden Rule is worth your time and effort, consider how your hostile or unkind acts towards others bring back the effects of retaliation, which is usually definite and immediate. Incidentally, the law of retaliation is more widely known as an eye for an eye. The Golden Rule habit is a form of positive thought, which develops in you a dynamic personality and feeds your self-confidence. It will help you to attract the forces that you require to reach your definite chief aim. In the introduction to the book, Hill thanks several people, and I just want to repeat those thanks here because without them I don't think this course would have come together. He thanks Andrew Carnegie first and foremost, who suggested the writing of the course. And he thanks Henry Ford, whose astounding achievements, he says, form the foundation of practically all of the 16 lessons contained within it. Finally, he thanks Edwin C. Barnes, a business associate of Thomas Edison, whose close personal friendship over a period of more than 15 years served to help the author carry on in the face of a great variety of adversities and much temporary defeat which he had met with. It will hardly come as a surprise to you that have stayed the course of all 6 episodes in which I delve into Napoleon Hill's Law of Success that I am now about to recap on all of the lessons that have been presented. I'll let the words of Mr. Hill take you forward into this. You have now arrived at the point at which you should take inventory of yourself for the purpose of ascertaining what qualities you need to give you a well-balanced and rounded out personality. 16 major factors entered into the building of this course. I ask you to analyse yourself carefully, with the assistance of one or more others if you feel that you need it, for the purpose of ascertaining in which of the 16 factors of this course you are weakest, and then concentrate your efforts upon those particular lessons until you have fully developed that which they represent. In summary then, the law of success is as follows. Lesson 1. The Master Mind. The mastermind is an invisible, stronger third mind, developed through friendly alliance in a spirit of harmony and purpose between 2 or more minds. No 2 or more minds ever met without creating out of contact another mind. This invisible creation, though, is not always a mastermind. A mastermind only forms when 2 or more people work together in harmony of purpose and effort. Lesson 2. A definite chief aim. You must do away forever with aimlessness and fix your heart and hand upon some definite, well-conceived purpose. In your struggle for success, you should constantly keep in mind the necessity of knowing what it is that you want. You must know precisely what your definite purpose is and utilise the principle of organised effort in the attainment of that definite purpose. If you don't know where you're going, then you're never going to get there. Lesson 3. Self-confidence. Believe that you are worthy of success and that you can attain it. Without truly understanding this, you will probably get nowhere with most of your goals. If you are not confident, then you cannot sell yourself in life. Lesson 4. The habit of saving. Formation of the habit of saving not only conserves that which you earn in a systematic manner, but also places you in the way of greater opportunity and gives you the vision, the self-confidence, the imagination, the enthusiasm, the initiative and the leadership to actually increase your earning capacity. And if you are trying to develop a habit of saving, then you must learn to kill the habit of unnecessary spending. Lesson 5. Initiative and leadership. Initiative is doing the right thing without being told. Leadership is essential for the attainment of success. But initiative is the very foundation upon which this necessary quality is built. Lesson 6. Imagination. You will never have any definite purpose in life. You will never have self-confidence and you will never have initiative and leadership unless you first create these qualities in your imagination and see yourself in possession of them. Lesson 7. Enthusiasm. A state of mind that inspires and arouses one to put into action the task at hand. It is contagious and vitally affects not only the enthusiast, but all with whom they come into contact. Lesson 8. Self-control. When you take control over the thoughts you are thinking, then you can take control of your success. Self-discipline is the most essential factor in the development of personal power because lack of it works hardships on those who become its victims, and those who do not exercise it suffer the loss of a great power which they could use in the achievement of their definite chief aim. Lesson 9. The habit of doing more than paid for. If you're going to whine about your work, then you're going to get nowhere. Do the work you have in front of you, then ask what else you can do. By doing this, you make yourself more valuable and you will surely reach a point where you are being paid handsomely. Valuable employees are valuable. This is also especially true when you are working for yourself. Lesson 10. A pleasing personality. Hill's advice is have one, and if you don't have one, cultivate one. Mediocrity does not care if you are pleasant or not. Success does. Lesson 11. Accurate thought. Separate facts from mere information. Then separate facts into two classes, the important and the unimportant, or the relevant and the irrelevant. All facts which aid you to any extent whatsoever in the attainment of your definite chief aim are important and relevant. All that you cannot use are unimportant and irrelevant. Lesson 12. Concentration. Concentration is the act of focusing the mind upon a given desire until the ways and means for its realization have been worked out and successfully put into operation. Lesson 13. Cooperation. The implementation of cooperation between yourself and others who are going to help you get your goal. Cooperation must also exist, though, between your conscious and subconscious mind so that they may work harmoniously in your favour. Lesson 14. Failure. Yes, fail. Fail and be happy that it is bringing you one step closer to success. Failure is inevitable and it is a great step towards the right direction. In your mind, you must learn to replace the word failure with the phrase temporary defeat. Lesson 15. Tolerance. Don't practice prejudice or racism. It is ignorance, and it is a barrier to success. Just see the best in people and in situations, and focus only on your goal and the good of all. And finally, Lesson 16. The Golden Rule. Do unto others as you wish them to do unto you. And to avail yourself fully of the benefits of this great universal law, you must also think of others as you wish them to think of you. Your call to action today is not only to consider the Golden Rule, but to take up this challenge which Hill lays out. Analyse yourself carefully with the assistance of one or more other persons if you feel that you need it, for the purpose of ascertaining in which of the 16 factors detailed in this course you are weakest. Then concentrate your efforts upon those particular lessons until you have fully developed that which they represent. And I will make my breakdown of the 16 lessons, which I just went through there, available to you through the official website as a PDF download, so that can help you as a kind of starting point to that challenge. Also, on today's show notes, I'll be giving you the download links to all of the versions of the text that are available in the public domain. That's Kindle, PDF, Mobi, basically everything that I have used in order to make this series of lessons I will make available to you, and that includes the audio from the 1954 film as well as links to the film itself. So that is the end of the 6-episode mini-series which has sat within Season 3, and I hope that you've found it beneficial, and I hope too that it leads you towards the success which you seek in life and in work. And it was a hell of an undertaking for me, and it shoved me well beyond a few of my own deadlines, and I had to drop a few of my planned Season 3 episodes to make it work. But I realised once I started that to not properly cover it would have probably been a disservice to you. Just while I'm here, I would like to say hello to all of the international listeners to the show. Now that I have got the data analytics, I can see that there is a considerable number of downloads in Australia, Hong Kong, the USA, Canada and Germany. So hello to everyone out there, and keep on listening. I really appreciate your support. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that these lessons have been useful and will lead you towards success. Next week, I will be responding to listeners' questions in a special mailbag episode, but for now, bearing in mind all that we have learned from Napoleon Hill over the last 6 episodes, let me end with a relevant quote from Thomas Sowell, who said, "It takes considerable knowledge just to realise the extent of your own ignorance." Now take control of your own destiny, keep on shooting, and join me next time on Film Pro Productivity.
Let me call your attention to a great power, a power which is greater than poverty, greater than the lack of education, greater than all of your fears and superstitions combined. It is the power to take possession of your own mind and direct it to whatever ends you may desire.
The music that you can hear right now is Adventures by Ehumitsu. You can view the show notes for this episode on the official website at filmproproductivity.com. You can follow my personal accounts on Twitter and Instagram at fight_director, or follow the show's official accounts on Twitter at filmproprodpod or on Facebook at filmproproductivity. And I would greatly appreciate it if you would support the show by spreading the word and talking about it, and leaving me, on whatever app you use, an awesome review.